chapter 17 drill sheet I've got up here. And what I've asked you to do with this is to translate the phrases or the clauses and to parse any verbal forms. Okay, so let's just see if there are any questions specifically that you have about how to either translate or parse these, and I'm happy to work through any problems that you might have. Number 14 is, I'll go ahead and make that a little bit bigger, Tishmorna et Toratav. Let's look at the verbal form first of all. So I'm going to give you a little method for how to identify these. Whenever you come to a verbal form, or what you think might be a verbal form, the most important thing to do is to try to isolate the core of the verb in terms of the three root letters. Do you see three root letters that form an identifiable or recognizable verb in your vocab list? Yeah, shamar. Shamar. So write the numbers 1, 2, and 3 above your root letters. Okay? This is something I would recommend you do. You come to what you think is a verb, write the numbers 1, 2, 3 over the three root letters, and then you're going to bracket out what comes before and after those three root letters. You have a tav in front of them, na at the end. At this point, you can easily look at your chart from the materials that we just went over and see that there's two possibilities for a verb form in the imperfect when it has that, right? It's the 3FP or the 2FP, has a prefix tav and a na at the end as a suffix. So we can parse this, okay? Right now, it's always cal imperfect if it has a prefix. Cal's the stem we're always in right now. And then 3FP or 2FP, okay? Now, we don't have much context here, so we could possibly translate it two ways. But let's just talk about what this would mean if we were translating it. What does the verb shamar mean? To what? To keep or guard, right? Who is doing the keeping if it's 3FP? It's plural. So it's they, and it's a female group of they. If it's 2FP, it's you, plural, and it's a female you, right? So what is going to be our most frequent way to translate the imperfect? We're translating it as future. So if it's 3FP, they will shamar, means they will keep or guard. If it's 2FP, it's y'all will keep or guard. Now, we don't really know how to translate the shamar part until we know what we're shamaring, because what we shamar can dictate what the sense of shamar is here. The object here is marked by the et, right? There's my direct object marker, my sign of the accusative, and then I have torotav. Is this noun, that's what we're keeping or guarding, is it singular or plural? Do you see the yod here? And I have a pronoun at the end. Is that singular or plural noun? It's plural. Do you see the ot ending on torot? That also is telling you that this is plural, right? This is a feminine plural noun that has a 3ms pronoun suffix. So whose things are these ladies keeping? His. So they will keep or guard, probably keep if it's Torah, right? They will keep his Torot. They will keep his what? His laws or his instructions. Probably not, they will guard his laws, right? It's hard to conceive of a group of women guarding the laws anyway. So probably keep. They will keep his Torot, his laws, or if it's 2FP, y'all will keep his Torot, his laws. Okay? Does that make sense? Let's look at number 4. We have ev. Okay, let's look at evtach here, number 4. So this is, again, if you were doing what I would want you to, you identify your 3 root letters, and then you have your prefix aleph and no ending on the back side, right? So this is correctly identified as a 1CS, and it's imperfect because of the prefix, so it's a cal imperfect. So here's the deal. I shall, I will, and then batach is trust. The so quote unquote proper English way to do the future is to use shall with first person and will with second and third person. That's at least what our grammar teachers told us. As a matter of fact, most people today use will for all future tense, even the first person. So presumably it would be I shall trust, you will trust, he, she, it will trust, we shall trust, y'all will trust, they will trust. But most people today do not use shall at all unless they intend the shall to be a way of commanding. So if I say to, to my child, you shall clean your room, that's not a futuristic notion. That is a command to do it, right? I'm not just predicting that you will clean your room. I'm saying you must do it. So I'm aware that many people today do not use shall the way it's prescribed by our grammar textbooks. So I will take I will or I shall for evtach. I will trust or I shall trust. Okay? So you're good either way. Okay, so number 18, we have tichtov. Tichtov. Do you see an identifiable set of 3 root letters here? This is where knowing your vocab really helps. Yes. Are these my 3 root letters? Takat? No, that's not an identifiable set of root letters, is it? Okay, here, let's move this up. What we want to do is identify the right three root letters, right? So kathav is a verb we've learned, which means I can bracket out those 3 and see what's surrounding it. I have a prefix tav with no ending. Which person, gender, number of the imperfect is that? 3ms, is that right? It's actually 3fs or 2ms. Okay? 3ms is a prefix yod with nothing at the end. Right? That's the imperfect 3ms. This is a prefix tav. So you got to pay attention to that prefix, okay? So this is either she or you man. All right. And kathav means what? It's to do what? To write. Okay? So it's either she will write or, if it's 2ms, you will write. And then the et is marking the direct object. What is it that she or you will write? Now remember, we have no context here, so we don't know truly which one of these is the best way to parse it. But we do know that this is the cal imperfect with 2 possible person gender numbers from kathav. Okay? So what will she or you write? Ha'et ha'devarim ha'ele. It's the words, the ele is these. The words, these. How do I translate that? These words. Yes. So she will write these words or you will write these words. All right? So now again, the imperfect could also be used for other situations, like if I'm telling someone to write these words, I might use the imperfect in a modal sense. You must write these words. Okay, that's a possibility. Or if my child says, Daddy, may I write these words? I can say, sure. Tiktov, you may write these words. Okay, so the imperfect can cover all those sorts of situations. So if you look at number 7 here, we have itanu. Itanu. Let me just review the verb here. Here's our verb karat. This is one of our new verbs, right? If I identify the 3 root letters, then I can identify any prefixes and suffixes. And here I have a prefix yod. A prefix yod is which conjugation? Perfect or imperfect? Imperfect. Because the imperfect uses the prefixes, right? Anytime I have a nutty prefix, I can't go with I can't go with perfect or participle, okay? If I see a nutty prefix, nun, tav, yod, aleph, I got to go with imperfect. If it's a yod, it's always third masculine, right? And then if I have the shurik, is it singular or plural? Plural. It's plural, that's right. So I know the subject is a they, that's male, right? And of course the stem's always cal here for now. So they will write, or excuse me, they will cut a berit. They will cut a covenant. Okay, so there's 2 issues related to how to analyze itanu. This is indeed the new personal pronoun, 1CP. But is this the direct object marker, or is it the preposition that means with? Okay, that's the big question. When I don't have any pronominal suffixes attached to it, the word et can be written eighth with a sere, or with a segol and the makaf, and it could be either of these. It could be the direct object marker, or it could be the preposition with. I cannot tell the difference. They are the same. Okay? But when I attach pronominal suffixes to the et, then I can tell the difference. And here it is. Okay? I'm going to jot it down for you over here. We have itanu for one of them, and otanu for the other. Okay? Itanu and otanu. Which is which? What we learned back in chapter 15 and 16 is that if the word et occurs with a dagesh forte in the tav, then it means with. So do you see one of these with a dagesh forte in the tav? Yeah, it's the first one here, the one that's actually part of our problem. And that means that I need to translate this as with us. Okay? With us. Now, that's one reason to go with us, is that you can tell the difference in form. But if you didn't remember that, there is a second reason to not translate this as the direct object marker with and us, but to translate it as the preposition with and us. And that is that berit is already the direct object of yichratu. They will cut a covenant. Okay? I already have a direct object. So I can't stick another direct object right after the real direct object. It wouldn't make sense at all. They will cut a covenant, us. Okay? That doesn't make sense. And also, the covenant making is usually done when you're on good terms and you're making a covenant to do some good or to have some relationship together. So you wouldn't want to make us the object of the verb cut anyway. That would mean they will cut us, and that's really not good. Okay? And as you know, Hebrew is not a violent language, so we should never even think this. Of course, I jest. But do you see how when you have a direct object already, then that's also another reason to be thinking this is probably the preposition with. All right, so otanu would be the direct object marker with us as the pronominal suffix. Okay, does that help?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so here's the translation homework from the Ross textbook. Are there any questions about these that you want to raise or want me to go through any of them? Let's look at number 2 here, and we'll identify our verbs. I'll go ahead and identify this one here, yisrafu. Then we have yilkadu, and believe it or not, this is actually a verbal form as well, just a different one than the perfect and the imperfect. So let's take a look at what we've got here. First of all, we have yisrafu. This is one of your new verbs. So we've got 3 root letters: sin, resh, pei. Bracket out your prefixes and suffixes to figure out what conjugation it is, whether it's the perfect, imperfect, participle, and then look at your vowel pointing as well. So which conjugation pattern is this, perfect, imperfect, or participle? I've got a prefix yod, so that's the imperfect, right? So cow, imperfect. I have a yod in the front, shurk in the end. Which person, gender, number is that? 3MP. Okay? So the subject is either they, or it is a plural noun that is explicit. Do I have a plural noun, a masculine plural noun that's explicit in my sentence? Well, I have giborim here, don't I? Ha-giborim. So very likely the subject. Let's make that the subject right now. Ha-giborim is the warriors, and then it's cal imperfect 3MP. I'm going to go ahead and try the future for my translation. The warriors will saraf. What is saraf? They will burn. The warriors will burn something. Now I have a direct object marker at with a definite direct object because I've got the article here. So what will they burn? At ha'ir, the city, and then ba'esh is written here. They will burn the city ba'esh. What is esh? It's fire. And I have a bet preposition right in front of it. Now, what is the most frequent translation for the bet? Okay, in. But what are some of the other ways to translate a bet? With or by. And that's going to be my translation value here. They're not going to burn the city inside the fire, right? They're going to burn it with fire. So that's the idea. So the warriors will burn the city with fire. Then I have v'yilkadu. I have the same conjugation pattern as I had with yisrafu. Notice I have lakad plus a prefix yod, shurk on the backside, and just a vav conjoining these because I'm beginning a new clause. So they will burn and they will do what? What's lakad? They will capture, and then I have another 8. So this is, again, possibly marking my direct object because capturing is a verb that requires a direct object. And then I have yosheveha. Now this one's a little bit harder to analyze. But what I have is I have a verb root, yod, shin, beith, yashav. Do we know that verb? Yashav is to what? To sit or dwell. Okay? To sit or dwell. Now look, root 1 yod over here in Yosheveha has a holam vav. What verbal conjugation pattern gets a holam or a holam vav with root 1? The participle. That's right. This is a participle I'm looking at. The participle, now notice the whole involved just means that it's spelled fully instead of defectively. The cow participle masculine singular would be yo-shave. Yo-shave. Notice here that it's the sere has reduced to a vocal shava, and I've got an accented segul yod and then a ha ending here. This yod is in front of the ha. What I have is a pronoun suffix that's been attached. What is the ha pronominal suffix? Which person, gender, number is that? That's third feminine singular suffix. And it's plural. This pronoun has plural things that it's attached to. What is a yoshev if it's a participle? It means to dwell. So we could say a dwelling one. If it's plural, dwelling ones. What's another word for dwelling ones? Yeah, inhabitant. And if it's plural, inhabitants. So, they will capture inhabitants. Which inhabitants? Well, the pronoun tells you. It's her inhabitants. Who does the her refer to? Why is a feminine singular pronoun used? That's right. It goes back to the city, ir, which is feminine singular, right? Remember, city is feminine singular. So you could translate this as her inhabitants. You could also translate it as its inhabitants, okay? Because we are talking about a city which is really doesn't really have a natural gender. Okay? All right. Does that make sense? Or is that still confusing to you? Okay, good. Yeah, let's take a look at number 1. There's a question here about where the on it comes from. Let's just review this. So Bayom Hahu is on which day? On that day. Tishbot Mikol Melachtecha. You will rest or cease from all your labor. Ki is what? Yeah, it could be translated that, but here it's because this is giving a reason for the resting. Because. Now here I have bo. What's bo? It's the preposition bet plus a pronominal suffix. Which pronoun is the holom vav that's attached to the bet? Yeah, that's 3ms. Okay? That's 3ms. Well, how do I translate a 3ms pronoun when it's the object of the preposition bet? It could be him, but it could also be what? It. Okay? Because I don't have a neuter pronoun in Hebrew. I have to use masculine or feminine pronouns even when my noun conceptually is neuter in English. So that's where I'm getting the on it. Okay? The 3ms pronoun is referring to the Yom Hahu. On that day, meaning on the 7th day, you will rest from all your work, because on it, on the day that we're talking about, the 7th day, Shavat Elohim. On it, Elohim rested. You see? So that's where the on it's coming from. It's the bet could be translated as in, with, or by, but with time expressions, we often will use the word on for on a day. You could say in it, in that day, right? But I think most of the time in English we use on for locating something on a particular day. If we can, before we leave verse 1 or number 1 here, if we look at Tishbot, our verb, and compare that for a moment with shavat, okay? One of these, well, you have to identify your root letters. In both cases, it's shin, beit, tav, right? Shavat. One of them has a prefix, one of them does not. So, if it has the prefix, which conjugation must it be in?
Imperfect.
The imperfect. If it has no prefix, then it's either the perfect or the participle. What would I need for it to be the participle after root 1? I need a holum. There's no holum. Instead, I have the very normal cal-perfect vowel points that I expect for a cal-perfect verb. Pakad, right? Shavat. So, both of these are the same verb form. They're the same verb root, but one's imperfect, you will rest. The other one is the perfect, because he rested. Okay? All right. Let's look at number 8. We have lo tikbaru et avichem ba'eretz hazot. We'll stop there for a moment and just analyze that. I've got a verbal form over here, tikbaru. Take a look. Do you see an identifiable verb from your vocab list where you can identify 3 root letters? Is it tav, kof, resh, abeit? Or kof, beit, resh? Yeah, kof, beit, resh. Which means I can bracket out my prefix and suffix. Or there's a prefix, so this must be the cal what? It's the imperfect. With a tav in front and a shurik in the back, there's only one possibility for this. What is it? It is second masculine plural. So it's a y'all male, right? So, but it's negated because I have lo in front of it. So tikbaru all by itself would be y'all will kavar, which means y'all will what? Bury. Lo tikbaru, y'all will not bury. Et avichem. The 8th is probably a direct object marker because burying is a verb that needs a direct object. It's transitive. So y'all will bury something or someone. What is avichem? I've got a pronoun suffix at the end of this word. Which pronoun is chem? Yep, that's 2MP. Okay, now look, I have a yod right before the chem. So y'all will not bury y'all's avi. So is this a singular or a plural noun that y'all have? You would expect this to be plural because of the yod before the pronoun. But we've got one little problem here. There is a kirik right before that yod. What does that tell you? It tells you that this is a singular noun. Okay? Usually, yod before pronoun tells me the noun's plural unless there's a single dot before the yod. If there's a kirik before the yod, it's singular. Every other vowel before the yod, the noun is plural. Okay? So you will not bury your, how many fathers? 1. You will not bury your father. Singular. And then this is telling me where? Ba'aretz hazot. In, is it a land or the land? Well, hold on. Just look at ba'aretz. Is that articular or not? Yes, it is articular. This would normally be ha'aretz. What happened to the hay? It got swallowed up. Chomp, chomp, chomp by the bet. The preposition bet eats lots of hay, right? So it's in the land, hazot the this, which you now rightly want to translate as how? In this land. Okay? So you will not bury your father in this land. Now, if this is instruction, then of course I could give a modal translation to the imperfect here. So I could translate this as you must not or you may not bury your father in this land. And again, it depends on our context here. Okay? We don't really have any context, so several possibilities are available to us. Okay, now then I have tikbaru, which is another verb form, and it's identical to the first one, so all the same ways that I analyzed it here, I can analyze it here. Prefix tav, shurik at the end, it's a cal imperfect 2MP. So you will bury, otho, you will bury who? What is this, otho? Yeah, this is him. This is the 3ms pronoun attached to et. Which et is this? Is this the direct object marking et, or is this the preposition with et?
Direct object.
This is the direct object marker, right? If it's the preposition with, it will occur with what in the tav? With the dagesh forte. And there's not a dagesh forte, so that is not with. So you will bury him, ba'aretz, in what? The land. It's articular. The article hey has been swallowed. Otherwise the bet would have a vocal shava under it, right? If there's no article, the bet should be pointed with a vocal shava. So you will bury him in the land, asher atem holachim shama. Here is another verb. What is atem? That's a pronoun that we've learned. It's an independent pronoun because it's not a suffix. Which person, gender, number is that pronoun? Atem. That's right, 2MP. So, in the land which y'all holachim. There's my 3 root letters, and I have a holem with root 1. So that is which verb form? It's a participle. I have the im ending. It's what gender and number? Masculine plural. Right? Why is it masculine plural? Because atem is masculine plural. So, in the land which y'all are going, shama. What's that mean? Yeah. That's right. This is the word sham, but it doesn't look the way you're accustomed to seeing it. It has something tagged on to the end. What is that called?
Directive.
Yes, that is the directive hey. How do I know it's not stressed? Because my accent mark siluk right here is stressing the syllable right before it. It's shamma. Not shama, but shama. Okay, so it's the land where you are going over there or to there, okay? And this, by the way, is a resumptive adverb, isn't it? This is really sort of redundant in English. We would just say to the land where you are going, but in Hebrew, the resumptive adverb is it's resuming the head of the relative clause, which is the land which you are going over there, meaning to that land. Okay?
Did you say to which you were going?
You could say to which you are going. That would be good. The land to which you are going. Or the land which you are going to. Or the land that you're going to. Or the land where you're going. All of those are good English translations. At least they get the English idea across. Your grammar teachers might not like it, but it would make good sense. Okay, very good. Any other questions about the homework for the Ross chapter here? Do you see how I'm bracketing out my middle root letters and getting to the prefixes and suffixes? That's really going to help you know If you're dealing with an imperfect, you're looking for prefixes. And if you don't have prefixes, then you're looking at the suffixes and saying, okay, if it's the perfect or the participle, I got to look at vowel points and endings, right? Participles do not use the perfix personal endings. They use the adjective endings, zero, a, im, ot, or the tav for the feminine singular as well. Okay? For example, let me just have you look at 9 real quickly. We have about 3 minutes here, so let me just show you the difference here. I'm going to get rid of the material. Hold on. Okay, if you look at number 9, I've highlighted the 2 verbs. I have evtach, and I compare that with battehu. Battehu. I identify my root letters. 1, 2, 3. Bet, tate, het. This one has a prefix aleph. The other one, same 3 root letters, beit, tate, het, but I have a shurik at the end, but there is no prefix before root 1. On the first one, I have a prefix aleph. I don't have any ending here, okay? So one of these is the imperfect. Which one? The first one or the second one?
First one.
Yeah, clearly the first one, because it's got one of the nutty prefixes, right? So I know that's imperfect. And with the aleph, it's got to be what? First common singular or first common plural? First common singular. Good. So this is I will batach. What does that mean? I will trust. Bacha, I will trust in who? The ka is a pronoun. It's 2ms. I will trust in you. Singular, masculine. I will trust in you. One person you. Okay? And then the key tells me why. Key, because. And now I have batahu, which has no prefix. So it can't be the imperfect. It's either the perfect or the participle, because neither of those have prefixes. What am I looking for to know which is which? Well, there's 2 things, really. The kametz under root 1 tells you it has to be which one of these? It's got to be the perfect, because what vowel would I have if it were the participle? Holum, that's right. The second reason I know it has to be perfect is because I've got a shurik at the end. Shurik is a personal ending on the perfect. Is shurik any of the participle endings? No. No participles end with shurik, right? That is part of the perfix personal ending structure. It's perfect 3CP, not participle. So it's because some plural group trusted. Okay? Now, what's the subject? It's avotai. It's avot, fathers, with the first common singular pronoun, my fathers. So I will trust in you because my fathers trusted. Presumably in you. Okay? All right. So I will stop there.